Let's go! Mailbag. It's one of my favorite types of videos. So here's Michael Terry. Look at this smile. Look at the mustache. I'm loving it. And for those that don't know, these are comments from all our week's content. We try and do this every Friday because I like to be accessible to you guys. I like to, in a way, have a conversation with you with your comments. We also do this on live streams Tuesdays and Saturdays. Carter, I like your idea of four wide being a big part of the offense. I want Jones and Hilton to emerge early to put the defense on its heels and open the underneath for Coy or the freshman running back. So I want Jake Peetz to be himself. And, in the offensive depth chart piece, I did mention a player who I think should switch positions, and it's kind of outside the box. So I'm linking it in the top right corner if you want to go ahead and watch that. I don't want to get into that subject because I want to focus on the second name here, Chris Hilton. And I understand Chris Hilton is unbelievable out of Zachary High School. He has had some injury issues in the past, and he wasn't an early enrollee. I'll stick by what I said in the depth chart piece that, Deion Smith is probably ahead of the other wide receivers, but Chris Hilton has some nasty speed. I mean, is he a year one guy? That's kind of hard to say. Maybe more so year two because of all the experience ahead of him. I genuinely didn't think who had the most chemistry with the wide receivers until now. So what this comment, Cliff Notes version, I made a point in the offensive depth chart piece that arguably LSU's two most productive wide receivers at the end of the season were Kayshon Butte and Coy Moore. So if those are going to be your starting wide receivers, the guy who threw those guys the football the most was Max Johnson compared to Miles Brennan. Now, this comes down to your perspective as well. How much does that on-field chemistry matter to you as an LSU football fan, or more importantly, Jake Peetz as a play caller? It's kind of tough to say because, these quarterbacks get so many reps with all these wide receivers that, yes, I think Miles Brennan can easily work with Coy and Kayshon. But I would like to include this. Kayshon is absolutely amazing. And at the end of the season, he was playing at such a high level that it's, pretty unreal for a true freshman to be that good. And he started peaking. Jamar started peaking at the end of his true freshman season as well. We started seeing the ascent of Terrace Marshall as a true freshman. So that's all really good. But the early season Terrace Marshall was so good. He was so freaking good. And Miles Brennan got the opportunity to throw him the football. And you do have to ask this question. How much of that was Terrace Marshall just being great? And how much of that was it Miles Brennan being great? So, yeah, you look at those games. Well, all three of those games were games where Terrace Marshall really balled out. I mean, his first three games were unfreaking believable. So it's just a point. I don't think quarterback wide receiver chemistry in this case should play too much of a factor, but I just included it there at the end. And he also mentioned John Emery here. I mean, this is his time. This is it. And you do worry about pass protection. You do worry about catching the football out of the backfield. All those things need to come together for him if he's going to be the featured back in this offense. I know there's a lot of TDP fans out there, and I also know that there's a lot of fans of you out there that like Armani Goodwin, Corey Kiner, and Trey Bradford. So it's going to be fascinating, but once again, in the offensive depth chart piece, we go a little bit deeper into these topics. Here's Tomkat. My boy Brian is right. Number 7 needs to be put away for a few years and has some bad juju on it. Hopefully Sting can break the curse. So first thing, this is what's so fun about our live streams. Tomkat here actually saw one of his high school best friends, Brian, watching our channel. It's cool. We're friends, and they're both from Lafayette. So that's just awesome. I've always felt such great vibes from the 337. I really do. But here we go. Number 7 doesn't have a curse. So let's go look at every player's performance really quickly that's worn the number 7. So obviously Patrick Peterson was elite in it in 2009, 2008, 2009, and 2010. He had 3 amazing seasons. Then in 2011, Tyrann Mathieu, that season is still one of the best seasons in college football history. Then in 2012, Tyrann Mathieu, you guys know what happened. Then in 2013, No one wore the number 2014. Was Leonard Fournette's first year. 2015, he was obviously phenomenal. 2016, Leonard Fournette was often injured, but still very phenomenal when he played. So, in 2017, it was DJ Chark. Also, amazing season. I remember at the time, there was some skepticism of DJ Chark getting that number 7 uniform because he wore a number in the 80s, 82, I believe, his first early season. So, DJ Chark exceeded expectations. Now, we get to 2018, and that's when the Jonathan Giles thing happened, which is obviously really bad. 2019, it was Grant Delpit, who wasn't as good as he was in the first 2 seasons. But look, he did still win the Thorpe Award. Should he have won the Thorpe Award? And now look, this is where nuance comes in, and some of you guys struggle with this. Should Grant Delpit have won the Thorpe Award in 2019? No, especially considering there were games that he missed, and he was very injured, and he wasn't as good. But we can also come to the realization that his struggles were overrated. He was playing a different position. He was playing oftentimes hobbled. He did make a huge touchdown-saving tackle against Auburn when I believe Jacoby Stevens had a bad run fit. So, and ironically, Jacoby Stevens got SEC Player of the Week that week, but that's a different discussion. Jacoby Stevens got to play closer to the line of scrimmage and got to make more plays, and Grant Delpit was more of a deep safety. So, yes, his struggles were there, but it was kind of overstated, while at the same time he shouldn't have won the Thorpe. Okay, now we go to Jacoby Stevens in 2020. You know, Jacoby Stevens had a really bad regression in 2020. And it wasn't just him struggling. It was also the game changed so much from 2019 to 2020. And what I mean by the game, the SEC. So the SEC got so much better at quarterbacking and so much better at play calling that we needed Jacoby Stevens to be faster and a better deep coverage safety. And Bo Pelini was, I'm going to be doing a ton of film studies on this topic over the next couple of weeks. Bo Pelini just put Jacoby in bad spots, and Jacoby himself just wasn't as good. Took bad angles. Lance Zierlein said he looked a little thicker and played slower than he did in 2019. And then, the pro day came around, and, he ran 4.52 with a 42-inch vertical. I think the Eagles did get a steal. I think he could be a fantastic pro. I think he's a wonderful guy in the locker room. I think he is a great leader. But his play on the field in 2020 was not that great. So, do you believe in curses? It depends if you're a Red Sox or Cubs fan, maybe. Maybe if Derek Stingley has just another meh season, we have a discussion about this, but I'm fine with it. I really am. One of these telemarket calls. Hello.
And wanted to give you.
I was just wanting some chicken wings. I was just wanting some chicken wings. I was just wanting some chicken wings.
This would make you financially responsible for all service repairs.
I was just wanting some lemon pepper chicken.
Press 1 now if you wish to accept.
I was just trying to get some wings. Here's WME. I love it. An Alan Risher comment. I remember when I was at KLSU, roughly a decade ago. I'm old now. And Alan Risher would come do radio spots with me. We thought that was the coolest thing. A former LSU quarterback coming to do radio with us from the LSU Student Union. That was so much fun. So I'm glad you mentioned Alan Risher. And he was such a funny, affable guy. Could there be an offense and defense number 7? 2 true freshmen lit it up in 2020. Hint, they both played number 1. Yeah, there could be. I think there will be with Butte and Ricks next season for 2022. So be on the lookout for that. This is Fred, and this is from our defensive depth chart piece. What I noticed in multiple games last year, when LSUD forced a 3rd and long, Anthony would move inside and BJ was lined up outside next to him. Yes, so there's different terms for this. So some coaches call it a cheetah package. Some coaches call it a race car package, where you get 4 defensive linemen or 4 defensive ends on the field to get more speed in a pass rushing situation. Now, there's some pros and cons to it. I think there's more pros and cons because you get some fresh bodies on the field, and it gives an offensive lineman a different look. The other side of that, though, is Jaquelin Roy is actually a very, very good at getting penetration in the pass rushing game. So, yeah, that's an interesting, dilemma that Andrea Carter has on his hands. And here's something else. Landon Jackson was a really good pass rusher as a defensive tackle in high school. And he played mostly defensive end, but the dude can rush from all four. There's so many different variations that they could do as far as rushing. I think their best pass rushing combo would be Ojulari at one end, Ali Gay at the other, Jaquelin Roy at one DT, and Joseph Evans at the other. Even though Evans isn't as good of a rusher, he does maintain his pass rushing lane pretty well. So that closes things up for scrambles from the quarterback. And this is something to keep in mind next season as far as pass rushing is concerned. LSU played a lot, and I mean a lot, of pocket quarterbacks last season. So when you play pocket quarterbacks, that gives you more freedom as a pass rusher because the quarterbacks aren't as mobile. That was part of the problem Kyle Trask had versus LSU, in that our defensive line was so athletic, and we were able to make so many different plays. Ray Thornton had a forced fumble. Then, of course, Ojulari had that huge rush at the end of the game to force a sack against Florida. There's so many different things you could do versus a pocket quarterback. Well, the SEC across the board is going to be more mobile at quarterback. They returned the two quarterbacks that killed you with their legs last season, or Matt Corral and Bo Nix. Then Florida's going to be going to Emory Jones. Alabama's going to be going to Bryce Young, and so on and so on. Arkansas is going to have a more mobile quarterback as well, and KJ Jefferson. So that's going to be something that LSU is going to have to keep in mind next season. And in the opener, UCLA also has a dual threat quarterback. So we'll see what happens there. Here's Cody, who, by the way, Cody's a part of the PHL Shirt Club. You want to get your shirt. Let's go, Carter. Bugg was held out of the spring game so he wouldn't actually break any of his teammates. I love it. Bugg Strong's already become an urban legend, and he's yet to suit up one time. I don't remember too many JUCO recruits that have had this much hype. Ed Orgeron wouldn't quit raving about Bugg Strong, and that might be what happened because there were so many running backs that were getting hurt during the spring. Maybe they were afraid Bugg Strong was just lighting people up too much. So, yeah, I'm going to temper down my Bugg Strong hype just a little bit because, the biggest challenge, for him going from JUCO to the SEC is obviously covering guys in space. So we could very well, though, see a starting linebacker duo of Bugg Strong and Mike Jones, two guys that didn't play for LSU at all. And the season last season, Jabril Cox had never played at LSU. So 3 out of the last 4 starting linebackers at LSU could potentially be guys that wasn't at LSU beforehand. And then you have Micah Baskerville. And then you have Damon Clark. And where does Antoine Sampa and Josh White fall into this equation? So, yeah, it's very interesting, that linebacker depth. And, Blake Baker's got some talent on his hands. He's just going to have to figure out who his best duo will be next season. And I do have to shout out Jared Small. I love this guy. Baton Rouge, Catholic High. Man, I love this comment. I really do. The beat drops now. This name is so freaking fantastic. And I got the backwards hat here. I got the gold chain. I'm loving it. Just hyping up more Dwight McGlothern, the 2 pick six in the Army All-American game. That's right. It's really cool. And he's been impressive. What was strange? I got a Dwight McGlothern hype train message. So someone commented on a random post, Dwight McGlothern's like the next big thing, and the hype train's coming, and simultaneously different users, I think it was 14 different users, dropped a train emoji. Now, I don't know if Dwight McGlothern has bots or the Dwight McGlothern fan club all decided to watch my content at the same exact time and they all simultaneously posted a train. I like it. I really do. I'm all on the Dwight McGlothern hype train. I really do love it. This is my guy Rob. I love this photo. Look at it. The tie, and he's here with the missus. I love it. The whole coaching staff, including would have been ran out of town if that play would have worked again. Kyle saw a ghost. I know that comment sounds kind of weird, but it will make some sense in a second. Kevin, fantastic job. I never noticed how open the UF wide receiver was on that. That's a good breakdown. See, I never caught some of what you highlight. Yeah, Ricks was smoked. I hope they would realize his vulnerability and not repeat. So, they're all talking about the same play, all right? And it was from our Eli Ricks film study. Now, look, I'm not the best film study guy, okay? I know I do a decent amount of them, but they're hard. They're really hard to do because, I'm not a coach. I'm not Durante Jones. I'm not someone that could break down every X's and O thing, or Dave Aranda, whoever you want to mention. I'm still learning, right? And that's the thing. If any of you ever disagree, trust me, we all have our own opinions about anything. So that's why I do these type of videos, comment section, all that stuff. So, what happened was, the film study, you should go watch it. In fact, it's one of my favorite videos. But here's the thing. When I do these deep dives, they don't do as well as offensive videos and other types of content, even though these are the types of videos that I love the most. Because, we didn't get to see Eli Ricks in spring. I was missing Eli Ricks, so I was like, okay, let's do a deep dive on what makes Eli Ricks great. So we talked about the pick six, but what we brought up as well was the very next play where Dan Mullen with some great scouting. And that was another thing I liked about the video. It shows you how deep scouting is at the college level. Dan Mullen actually stole this play. He stole this play from Nick Saban in Alabama. And if you want to see it, obviously top right corner. But still, it's weird though, because it's kind of hard to know if Kyle Trask didn't throw it that way because Eli Ricks just had a pick six. But that's where the play should have gone. That's where the ball should have gone. And if he would have just thrown it that way, Florida would have had a walk-in touchdown. Walk-in on the same exact play. But that shows you the power of a pick six. It changes games. Now, Eli Ricks gave up a few other completions later in the game, so Kyle Trask still challenged him. But it is weird, though, to see how pick sixes can change the outlook of a game. And that's what's crazy. That pick six was so transcendent, so awesome. And it shows you how special of a talent he is. Now, without that pick six, we are 3-7. Okay, so do we win that Florida game without that pick six? That's kind of hard to say. I would include, though, that in the other games where we had pick sixes, Arkansas, we had a pick that returned to the one. We won that game. Pick six versus South Carolina, we won that game. Pick six against Mississippi State, we didn't win that game. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know. If we don't get that pick six, it's weird because Dan Mullen schematically gets us every year. It doesn't matter the team. So, yes, I still think LSU would have found a way to win that game because Florida's mentality was just so bad. It was so bad. Here's a more interesting comment here, and I appreciate the other comments. Once again, go check out that Eli Ricks film study. Do you think we would have lost a few signees? I'm on board with 10K. There you go. So we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before the season begins. Highly doubt it, but I just burped. Crazier things have happened. Do you think we will have lost a few signees? No, I don't. And once again, here's another compliment of Ed Orgeron. It's crazy how good this guy is at recruiting. Now, first thing, Louisiana is always going to recruit itself, LSU, because of, this advantage that Louisiana puts out the third most NFL players per capita, and we're the only Division I school in this entire state. So that gives LSU, obviously, a gigantic advantage over pretty much everyone else in that aspect. So Yeah, that's pretty wild to think about. So let's just say Ed Orgeron wasn't the coach tomorrow. LSU would still bring in good recruiting classes. They probably, though, still won't be as good as Ed Orgeron. I do believe in his recruiting. I do believe in his connection, his ability to connect with different families. And this goes way back. And this is by far his strongest attribute. LSU probably still would have had a good class last season. Remember, a good bit of their recruiting was done before last season even began. Landon Jackson was already committed. Garrett Nussmeier was already committed. There was a lot of guys that were out of state that had already pledged to LSU. So it's pretty fascinating. Now, would Mason Smith or Sage Ryan have decided to go somewhere else? I don't know. But what I will tell you is it does help that the class of 2022, they've gotten, 4 top 100 players already committed with the 3 Louisiana 5-stars and Jake Johnson. And that's good to get most of your work done before this season even begins. That's so huge. So I think that's really good. I think that's really good to get your recruiting done because even when the team loses, recruits can look at that and say, look, if they're losing, I could play right away, especially this next season when LSU is going to be losing so many seniors and so many experienced guys. Yeah, I think LSU will be just fine recruiting no matter how this next season goes. Now, if this next season is a disaster, you might see some people jumping ship, but still, XRichX Boy X. I love this name. And he's got the hey. What's up? I like that. Hair on point, beard on point. That's good stuff. But anyway, shocked we aren't going in for Tate Martell. But being serious, I'd prefer an O-lineman. But there is a question, should LSU get another quarterback in the portal? They only have one slot left. So, number one, the slot is too valuable to give to a quarterback, especially one that definitely will not start. But I can see logic if you want Max Johnson to be your starter and you fear Miles Brennan is going to enter the portal. That would leave you with only 2 scholarship quarterbacks. And I don't think any of you would feel comfortable not only with a true freshman backup, but just 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, Tate Martell, I would obviously stay away from him. And I know you were kidding here, but it is interesting. I just don't think LSU would think going quarterback in the portal. Now we get to Robert, our cancer warrior, man. I freaking love this guy. I've gotten to know Robert pretty well, and we just wouldn't have a successful channel if it wasn't for him. I mean, legit one of the top supporters of the channel, and I've gotten to become really, really good friends with Robert, and a lot of you have been, praying and supporting his cancer battle. That's really cool stuff. Now, here's the thing. If you get a really good O-lineman, that should open up your quarterback room. So this is our piece from yesterday regarding the transfer portal, and there's a 5-star defensive back out of Ohio State that's in the portal. And, there's a lot of you that commented, offensive line. We need to get another offensive lineman. I tend to agree with that, but I can understand LSU using the final slot on Major Burns because, look, safety is so important now. I think safety has become a far more important position just in these last couple of seasons, not only because of passing attacks, but because of the play callers in the SEC. You compare them to their previous play callers. So, for instance, Kendall Browse came in the SEC. Lane Kiffin came in the SEC. Mike Leach came into the SEC. And what those 3 guys do in particular really well is their offense really confuses and puts in conflict the safety position. Whereas prior years, those 3 schools didn't have that. So that's why Ed Orgeron decided to go, hey, let's get a defensive coordinator who's a safeties coach, and let's get more depth to the safety position. Because Todd Harris, he has had injury history. Then, of course, Jay Ward, this is his first year. Jordan Tolles is still up in the air. So, yeah, I can understand safety being a position of need, but we did videos on Major Burns and TJ Moore. One of them is flashing in the top right. All the links are down below. And I explained the offensive lineman I would target in the portal for LSU's final slot. And once again, Robert, you're the man. We're growing, but share this with a friend. Let them know. And we discuss LSU football deeply. Leave your comments down below, of course. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. I think we're doing leftover spaghetti and eggplant. Let's go.